I don't know why that got moved. Well, looks like we're live on both, and it's music time. Broadcasting live from the basement storeroom of station WDWL TV. It's me, the grumpy old man. And Ron's here, and Kathy's here, and goddamn weather today, Jesus Christ. Thunderstorms, thunderstorms, thunderstorms. And then it's goofy. It'll rain for like 10 minutes, stop. Then the sun will come out. Then the thunder starts. Then it rains. Then it stops. It's been doing this all goddamn day. And I had shit to do. So it screwed up my whole day. Not to mention, I'm hearing thunder again. Whoopee. Okay, a little trivia. Whose birthday is it today? And not mine. This is a real head scratcher here. This is a famous movie star. Nobody wants to venture a guess? A famous movie star back in the day, not current. A dancing movie star. From when we were growing up as little kids. A very famous dancing movie star. Oh, I should have said female. Female. You're in the right era. All right, one more clue. Make it easy. Who danced with Fred Astaire? Right. Today is her 114th birthday. if she would have still been here. Yeah, Ginger Rogers. I used to love watching her and Fred Astaire. God damn, there wasn't a dance those two could not do. They were amazing. And Gene Kelly was great too, but every now and then they'll be on the movie channel, uh, Ginger Rogers, Fred Astaire movie, and I'll watch it because the footwork is just, you don't see that today. You, that's from a bygone era. Same thing with tap dancers. You don't see dancers in today's movies like Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, Gene Kelly, or, you know, I'm trying to think besides Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly who, oh God. I'm thinking of the two black actors that could, as they say, cut a rug tap dancing. Oh God, who were the two black guys? The one had a glass eye. I can't think of his name. Oh my God. There were two, and after him, then there was another black actor that could tap dance like crazy, and I can't think of either one of their names. The one was a part of the Rat Pack. Sammy Davis, right? That's one, and then the one after Sammy Davis. I can picture him. I can't think of his name. He came after Sammy Davis. Oh my God, what the hell was his name? Because he had made mention growing up that Sammy Davis was his idol. Oh, Jesus. It sucks to get old. Can't remember shit. Matter of fact, I've got a. Yep, right. Yeah, Gregory Hines. Growing up, Sammy Davis was his idol. But after Gregory Hines, of course, they didn't make goddamn movies, like they did back in the day. it's sad because those were the the golden days of Warner Brothers and the big sound stages, the big bands. And the sad thing is, they're slowly laying off a lot of the musicians because now they're doing music AI. It's getting to the point where oh yeah, Shirley Temple was that little girl had more talent in her little finger than some people had in their own body. And the shame of the matter was her parents cheated her out of all her goddamn money, which happened to a lot of child actors. Oh, okay, Ron. Even some of the child actors that were in Little House of the Prairie, their parents cheated them out of their earnings. And it's sad when they do that. They basically had no right to those wages. None. Had no right. Maybe a little percentage, but not to take all their money. Oh yeah, all of them. The little rascals, all of them got cheated out of their money. It was disgusting back in the day what happened. If it wasn't the parents, it was the studios, underpaying them. But I love watching musicals because they just don't make them anymore. Like Sound of Music and oh, what the hell was that? Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Dick Van Dyke. There's another one that could dance. A good old Ohioan. It's amazing how many stars came from Ohio. It's unbelievable. You wouldn't think that lowly old Ohio would produce so many stars. When I worked for the limousine service, I drove Halle Berry because she bought her mother a beautiful house out in Sheffield Lake. And she'd come into Cleveland and she'd go out to visit her mother. And you know, Kathy, it's amazing how many kids who watched old movies like, Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers that got enrolled in dance schools. Because they all thought they were going to be the next Fred Astaire or Ginger Rogers. Did you really? Did you did you interact with her? I mean, back then she was a school kid. But did you know her besides being on your school bus? How neat. God damn. Here I'm talking about driving her when I worked at the limousine service, and here's, gee, you're rubbing elbows with Halle Berry, and then you're standing next to me in a fucking meat shop. You get around, Kathy. Ah, damn. What was she like in high school? Or in whatever grade? Really? What was she like? I had heard that she was a tad on the shy side. So I heard right. I couldn't believe it. When somebody said, oh, when she was a kid, she was, shy as can be. So it was a true story. I'll be damned. How cool. Yeah, but even so, before she moved, you knew her growing up. How cool is that? But it's amazing how many stars come from Ohio. This would be the last state, I would think. But you got Tim Conway, you got Dick Van Dyke, you got Halle Berry. God, I know I'm missing quite a few because it's interesting how many were from Ohio. Like you say, this would be the last state I would think that would be producing all kinds of movie stars and musicians, and I'm trying to think of the musician that when Peaches was doing the thing like Man's Chinese Theater with the handprints and the footprints and the signature and cement. I'm trying to think of oh God, I can picture people and I can't. Michael Stanley, God damn. All right, saved again. He was one of the first when they did the hands and feet and the cement and the signature. I'll have to drive up to that plaza and see if that chunk of cement is still there. I would think they probably cut it out and shipped it somewhere. Michael Stanley made quite a few appearances at Peaches. I think every time a new record came out, he was at Peaches. God, the money I spent in that place. Ay, 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 ay. I love that place. Oh my God. Walk in and it was just aisles and aisles and aisles of albums and cassette tapes. Although there is a guy in Lakewood that it's amazing. He makes good money selling old 33s and cassettes and CDs, 45s. I can't remember the name of the place. I've been in it a couple of times because I bought a few albums from him. And I even said to him one day, I said, this would be the last place I would think where you could make a decent living. And he said, oh, I ship records worldwide. And he goes to every goddamn collectors conferences and shit, buys up albums. And although vinyl is making a comeback slowly, but vinyl is making a comeback. Because now when musicians release their latest music, they're putting it on vinyl along with everything else, but nothing I'd be buying, but it's nice to see vinyl making a bit of a comeback. That's like I've been trying to beg my landlord. He's got a double house in Lakewood. And he's got about 10,033 albums and about 5,045s. And I keep saying, come on, let me go through some of this stuff. Oh, one day. I hope he has it all stored flat. Although some of the stuff that he's got, he worked for Ohio Bell / AT&T, and when they were getting ready, hey Linda, how are ya? When they were slowly phasing out, well, not slowly phasing out. When they were getting rid of all the old rotary dial phones, he bought about 3,000 of them. And he's got them in storage. Because when I moved in here, I says, "Oh, I'm thinking of getting a landline." He goes, "Oh, I got phones you can pick from," but he never took me out to his storage locker. But he thought that rotary dial phones, brand new, still in the box, were going to be worth big money. Well, kick back and relax now, Linda. Oh, ow. I thought something was crawling on my leg. Must have been the fan blowing an odd way on my. I was like, what the hell's crawling on me? Well, it's been raining off and on all day around here, Linda. Thunderstorms on top of it. We had some boomers this morning, Jesus. It rained for 15, 20 minutes, stop. Sun had come out. Hour later, boomers, rain, 15, 20 minutes, stop. Drove me crazy. 'Cause I had shit planned for today and evidently it must have blown over because it was thundering here a little bit ago. And it's quiet again. Yeah, I didn't check the weather forecast this morning. I downloaded a NOAA weather app on, well, the other computer. And what I like about it is it's right up to the minute. You can see where a storm's moving, and I didn't even bother to check the weather today, and there it was all screwed up. And I didn't watch any of the weather forecasters today either. Dumbass me, I watched some documentary searching for Bigfoot. They had 4 different crews. And none of them found Bigfoot. I'm like, you're not going to find him because he ain't around. And the one crew, I can't remember what TV station followed these guys around, one of the cable channels. And these guys, they set up all kinds of infrared cameras and listening devices and all the money they spent on all that equipment and no Bigfoot. How do you follow the storm chasers, Linda? Do they do something live? I would like, if they do something live, I would like to download an app or whatever. Well, today was the end of the Corvette bidding. Thank God. Although the two guys that showed up today, I could have kicked them both in the ass. They're picking things. Oh, look, it's got 4 flat tires. The paint's peeling. I said, hey, I'm not putting a gun to your head. Don't bid on it then. I told you, it's definitely not cherry. It's been sitting. We have no idea what's wrong with it. All I know is it ran, according to his son, 5 years ago. So there. Yeah, but they're live where? How would I tune into them? Oh, they're on YouTube. Well, that's easy enough. And free. Grumpy's favorite word. Although it was interesting today, I actually had another bid on the Porsche. Well, that's even easier. Not something I'll forget. Now, who are these two, Kathy? I mean, Brandon Kolbeck and Reed Timmer. Okay. I find them on YouTube too. Oh, really? If I put those names in on YouTube, just put in storm chasers. Okay, that's easy enough. Another Ohio person. Jeez, all these Ohio people. Yeah, good old Youngstown. The city that had billboards that said, "Will the last person leaving Youngstown please turn out the lights?" Yeah, when the old steel mills shut down, one of the unions at at every entrance or exit to Youngstown, they rented billboards that said, "Will the last person leaving Youngstown please turn out the lights?" And the mayor had a shit fit. He didn't think it was funny. Almost as bad as Twinsburg. Jeez. Talk about a city that went in the dumpster. Chrysler not only shut down the stamping plant, they tore the fucker down. Chrysler was like, "We ain't coming back here no more." And then the Chevy Cruze plant turned into the Hummer plant, which, although the other day I drove past, evidently it's going to be a dealership. There must have been 60 Rivians parked in this big parking lot. Those are the neatest looking electric vehicles. I like the oblong headlights. Those are cool. I'm not into electric vehicles, but if somebody wanted to give me one, I'd take it. But there must have been 60, 70 of them in this parking lot. So evidently, they're going to have a Rivian dealership around here somewhere. But I think those are the neatest looking vehicles. But I'm not into electric. Although I've heard the Rivians, I hope they work the bugs out of them. They were having some problems with them. There was something with the charging system for the 12-volt battery packs. But I think they're neat looking. Like I say, that oval or whatever, those headlights are neat. Yep, raining again. Damn it. Pouring. Hey, a new face in the crowd. How you doing, Barry? Welcome. Oh man, is it raining? Holy shit. I guess I'm going to have to log in tomorrow and watch the storm chasers. If I'd have known about it, I'd watched them today instead of searching for Bigfoot. Ay, ay, ay. That's one of those where I fall asleep watching a murder mystery and I wake up. Where the hell did this come from? Well, he's still an Ohioan. He's up there in Jeep country. The Toledo Jeep plant. Man, I'll tell you what. When Chrysler decided they were going to close that plant, holy shit. I think half the town just about rioted. And they finally convinced them to keep it open, plus they spent about $10-20 million upgrading the plant. Although I think it's stupid to have an electric Jeep. How the hell can you go off-roading up in the mountains in an electric Jeep? Everybody's got to go electric. The grid is not made for electric. They proved that out in California with all the tree huggers in their electric vehicles. They all plug in at night and they have a big fucking brownout. They haven't upgraded the grid around here since the 70s. They keep pushing all these goddamn electric. Oh, I think they've had a couple of Teslas blow up. Because I know when they catch fire, the fire department just has to stand back and let them burn out. Because right now they don't really have a plan to extinguish these stupid things. They just stand back, watch them burn. But I think they've had a couple of Teslas get caught in floodwaters and blow up. Nothing like driving a bomb. We are not ready for fully electric vehicles in this country. No way. did you hear that? I can't believe Elon would sell Tesla. Yeah, but you know, a lot of the goddamn power plants are still coal burning. Yeah, you're right, Linda. They can't extinguish them, so they just watch them burn. I'll never own a. No way. I like my gas burning 5 speeds. Wow, I can't believe Elon would then to sell to China on top of it. Man, I guess I'm going to have to do some research. Oh yeah, lithium battery fires. They're the worst because you can't put water on them. You can't foam them. So you have to stand there and just. All the fire department does is contain the fire. You know, that was one thing they didn't think of. Oh, let's everybody go electric. All right. Nobody bothered to think, well, gee, when one catches fire, how do we extinguish it? God, there was one the other day. I can't remember where. The guy lost control and I don't know, he hit a pole or something and it burst into flames. It was just on the news the other day. God, you would think that they would have done a lot of research on how to put out a lithium battery fire, especially like back in the day when the goddamn cell phones were catching fire. God, I think it was last summer out in LA. They had one of these big power units, and they were towing it to a location somewhere out in LA that needed, auxiliary power because all the fires. And as they were going down the freeway, the goddamn generator caught fire, and all they could do was shut down the freeway. And I think it went for like 3 days before they could put the thing out. It just, I guess they never thought that they were ever going to catch fire. But they have no way of putting the stupid things out. But I guess I'm going to have to do some gargling in the morning to see. God, I can't believe Elon would sell to China. Of all places, jeez. Although if he did, that's an easy way for China to get their fucking electrical vehicle foot in the door to sell them here. Because I know they keep trying to get approval for what the hell's the car? Chery, Chery, Chery. They've been trying to get approval to sell them things in the United States, and so far the government said no. Although the prices have really dropped on Teslas. And I think it's bullshit where the government gives you what, 7, 8 grand to buy one. Until we invest in upgrading the electrical grid in this country, we can't be pushing electric vehicles. Well, if he did, Linda, that's his way of getting back at Trump. They had that big fallout, which I'm glad to see him out of the White House. He did enough damage. Look at all the goddamn people he put out of work. Oh, we don't need this agency. We don't need this one. We don't need this one. We don't need this one. Well, yeah, because China has the biggest abundance of rare earth minerals around. So yeah, I could see him building a battery factory over there because they've got the they got the world by the balls for rare earth material to build the lithium batteries. But there's no way America is gonna, ever sell that many electric cars. Christ, it's bad enough, you know, the gas powered vehicles, all the goddamn software glitches. Let's get things taken care of before we start pushing battery vehicles. Goddamn cars got too much computerized bullshit. Christ, I was reading the goddamn recall list for software updates with Ford and GM and Chrysler. Christ, it wasn't too long ago. The guy down the street, he's got I think it's a 2024 F-150. And he come home from work one night and it wouldn't shut off. No matter what he did. He finally had to get out and disconnect the fucking battery. Truck would not shut off. And the Ford dealer said, some kind of software glitch. He still doesn't have it back. And these goddamn new cars where they no key, just a key fob. Because the money we're saving on door locks, we don't have to we don't have to build door locks anymore. We don't have to build the ignition switches, just a push button. Oh yeah, goddamn Chrysler came out with that. With a shifter, at least if you have a problem, you can, jam it in the park. If that electronic solenoid goes bad, you'd be twisting that goddamn knob all day. Money saving, because they don't have to engineer all that hardware. Look at the money we save by eliminating a shifter. Too much electronic bullshit. That's why I like my old manuals. It's like when I told my buddy about the Passat. He's like, another manual? Don't you get tired of shifting? No. It keeps you active. Because you're using all four limbs. One hand to steer, one hand to shift, one foot for the accelerator, one for the clutch. How would you like to come home, Linda, from the store, and no matter what you did, your fucking truck wouldn't shut off? And you have to get out and disconnect the fucking battery in order to get it to shut off. Because some sensor went haywire. Yeah, he said no matter what he did, the truck wouldn't shut off. So he got out, lifted the hood, disconnected the battery, off it went. And that was like a week or so ago. And he still hasn't got it back. I'll have to take a walk over to it to see him tomorrow and ask him, what's wrong with your truck? Do they know? Because when I saw it leaving on the tow truck, I asked his wife, I said, what's wrong with the truck? She says it wouldn't shut off. She said he finally had to get out and disconnect the battery cables to get the goddamn truck to shut off. That was like a couple months ago. I told this story. I'm driving down 150th, and there's this brand new Land Rover next to me. And all of a sudden, I hear this screeching, and I look over, and the rear wheels were locked up. And it finally came to a stop. So I got out, and a couple other people got out, because this woman was all like, oh no. And her electronic parking brake all of a sudden locked up. She didn't even touch it. And it wouldn't disengage. Because I waited with her until the tow truck got there. And the guy's dragging it up on the flatbed and the rear wheels. She was just driving along. All of a sudden, the parking brake just engaged on its own. Too much electronic shit on these. All that shit don't belong in vehicles. But see, the manufacturers are designing them. Well, we can save X dollars if we eliminate this kind of linkage, and we can save X dollars this way. Well, does that saving come off the sticker price? No. They just put all that money in their pocket. Christ, it's sad nowadays. A bottom of the line cheapy car is like 30 grand. Oh, that's scary. But you know, Linda, it's part of the problem with these key fobs. You know, on a lot of these cars, all you have to do is have that thing in your pocket. But usually you have to push the start button. Oh, yeah, I'd have done the same thing, Linda. I'd have off that in a heartbeat. If the dealership couldn't figure out why it was starting by itself. You know, that's like my neighbor's got a 2024 GMC 2500. And, you know, everything key fob. Unlock the door, get in, push the button. Although, what really irritates me is she remote starts it from inside the house so that the air conditioning has got it cooled off. Yeah, she just goes by the front window, you know, truck's running. But they have it start by itself. That's scary. And then, see, yeah, the typical thing, the dealer can't figure it out because everything is software, software, software. Was it a key, a real key, or was it a key fob? Because I know in a lot of these new vehicles you don't have a key anymore. You get in with the key fob and you push the start button. You get in, you put your foot on the brake, and you push the start button. And then in order to get it to shut off, you put your foot on the brake and you push the start button to stop. But you look at a lot of these new cars, they don't have a key anymore. You have a stupid key fob and a button. That's because they save that. Oh, look how much money we save by not putting a tumbler unit in. I want a key. I want a tumbler. Turn to start. Off. Take out key. But to have a goddamn vehicle start on its own, that's scary. Especially if you've got an attached garage, you'd either burn the house down or carbon monoxide would kill everybody. I don't want no vehicles that don't have a key switch. I don't want no push to start. Although, like I said, I would never own a 2000. Here I got a 2001, but it's still key. I can't wait to get it over here. I don't know what he's been doing. He keeps telling me, oh, I'll be coming over more often. So far, he hasn't been coming over more often. Although he's got he got a shitload of stuff on his plate. Three houses to deal with. Shitload of cars. Well, I handled the cars for him. Too bad that goddamn Dakota was such a shitbox. I like the Dakota pickups because they were just a tad larger than a Ranger. They were just a little more roomy. I wonder if they still have the lemon law. I remember back years ago, if you had something like that, you could lemon law it and make the dealer buy it back from you. I haven't heard lemon law in eons. Because that would have been something I would say qualified for the lemon law dealer buyback. But I haven't heard lemon law in years. Because I remember a neighbor of mine, oh God, it's maybe 2000. He had a Mercury Villager, and it was that it was the fancy blue and white one. I think they called it the Nautilus, or it had that boat boutique look about it, and they had problem after problem after problem with it, and they ended up the dealer under lemon law bought it back. And I remember it sat in the back of the dealership for eons because something like that could never be resold. It started, the goddamn sliding doors would open up by themselves, and they had replaced lock assemblies and did everything, and the doors were still opening. And then the sunroof would open and he couldn't get it to close. It just had problem after problem. And they finally used the lemon law to get it bought back. But that was like 25 years ago, and I haven't heard lemon law in ages. They lemon lawed it. I didn't know if it was still in effect. But if that's what they were able to do, God bless them. Because basically the dealer has to give them back every penny. They can't say, well, it's a used car. Nope. If you paid $30,000, the dealer has to give you $30,000. And the dealer can't strong arm you into buying another vehicle. Because a lot of times they go, well, what if we put you in this? No. The dealer buys it back, and if you want to go somewhere else, oh well. Yeah, anything lemon law. Now, I know that Mercury Villager sat like a year in the back of the... But I think they have to be crushed. I think that's the way it works. The vehicle has to be crushed. Because they don't want it falling in somebody else's hands. I don't know what... I know that Villager sat in that lot for almost a year. It was back in the corner, the tires had gone flat and everything. I think the dealer needed an approval from Detroit. But I know the vehicle has to be destroyed. Because you can't even take like a hubcap off of it. No. Because I know it was in the back of the lot, and they had tape over all the doors. Do not open, do not touch. And you know, it was a beautiful vehicle. I loved it because it was blue and white with yellow trim. It was top of the line. But they could not fix it. They'd fix one thing and something else would go wrong. Because I remember the sliding doors would just open up. They'd be driving down the road, sliding door, and that they had replaced the guts in the doors and everything, and then the fucking sunroof. One day opened, they couldn't get it to close. It was in the dealer longer than it was in their driveway. And then finally they lemon lawed it. And I can't remember what they bought. They didn't buy another Mercury, I know that. But I didn't know the lemon law was still on the books. Although I'm glad it is, because these new vehicles are scary. Because I'll tell you what, this Passat is probably the newest vehicle I'll ever own. I don't see me owning a 2005 or 2008 or no. Not to mention, it's exempt from all the inspection bullshit. But yeah, if that Dakota wouldn't have been such a piece of shit. Because they were just a little bit bigger than the S10s and the Rangers. Not to mention, I like that big ass grill on the front. But that's going to scrap. That and the Chevy Nova, that's going to scrap. Because I told Jim's son, I said, just off them and get rid of them. You don't need the headaches. But that's the way Jim was. He'd buy a project vehicle and park it, and he was always going to get to it. Like with the Porsche. I said, what's wrong with it? I don't know, but I'll get to it. It's a project. Everything was a project. Although he was driving the Passat until the sunroof won't close and the back window on the driver's side door or the passenger side door won't close. But instead of getting them fixed, he just parked them and then bought something else. Although he had a beautiful, oh, what the hell was that Porsche that he had? He had a Cayman, a Porsche Cayman. Was gorgeous. And then one day he was sitting at a traffic light and a guy ass-ended it. So instead of getting another Porsche, he bought that used RAV4. But that Cayman was, and powerful. Yeah. Because I said to him one day, I said, where's the Cayman? He said, oh, it's a total. I said, total? He said, yeah, I was sitting at a traffic light and a guy wasn't paying attention and ass-ended him. So the Cayman ended up a total loss, and he just went and bought this used RAV4. I think we got that sold too. Oh man, is it fucking pouring? Jesus. Cloudburst going on over here. Yup, thunder boomers. Although, see, rain like this doesn't really do any good because the ground is so dry that the rain is just running off. You need a light shower, not a cloudburst like this. Well, now it's stopping again. See, we get this. We get a cloudburst, and then it stops. And we get a cloudburst, more thunder boomers. I don't think it's going to stop. Oh, shit. Hang on a minute. I think the kitchen window's open. Goddamn floor's probably soaking wet. I forgot the cat was laying in the window. I can guarantee he ain't laying in the window now. I got a mess to clean up. Goddamn floor's all wet. Cat's laying on the kitchen table looking at the rain. I forgot that goddamn window was open. I'll tell you what. He loves laying in the window. I'll come out to make coffee in the morning, and he'll be standing on the table looking out the window, and he looks at me, he looks at the window, looks at me, and all right, I'll open the window. I don't even have that window like 6 inches up, and he'll lay in that window all day. He just loves laying in the window. As a matter of fact, I forgot to close it. And I got up, I was like 3 o'clock. I had to go take a leak. I look out in the kitchen, I was like, oh shit, I left the window open. There he is on his back, feet in the air, sound asleep. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't want to bother him. But he just loves laying in the window. Now he's laying on the kitchen table looking at the window like, is the rain gonna stop? I want to get in the window. I don't know what it is with him and sleeping in the window, but that's where he's got to be all day long. And he's the only cat that I've ever had that loves laying in the window. Like when I had my other tuxedo, Socks. Open the window, he wouldn't go near him. Fatso here, like I say, I come out in the kitchen to make coffee and he's like, open the window already. All right, here. I'm trying to open the window and he's nudging me out of the way. Goddamn weather. More thunder boomers. Is it slowed down? Well, now it's slowed down to next to nothing. I hope it's not going to be like this all night. See, what we have to worry about in this neighborhood is the goddamn basements will flood. And the thing that pisses everybody off is it's not our water. It's water coming from goddamn Brook Park and Berea. Because they build a big interceptor system to alleviate the problem they had in Brook Park and Berea. Well, they never did anything with our sewers here. So we still got the old 6-foot diameter pipes that they put in back in the 40s. So you get all this water coming from the suburbs, and then the sewers here can't handle it. So where does it go? Everybody's basement. Because I'll be watching the goddamn basement all night now. Because if the water starts to come in, I have to go down and unplug the connections on the hot water tank. Otherwise, the water will short the brain out. And goddamn Ream has already sent me 3. They ain't gonna send me no more. The guys told me, if you're getting water, unplug the 2 wires off the brain. That way it won't short the brain out. So I'm like an idiot all night, looking in the basement. If I see water coming in, unplug the computer. See, when the guy put the new hot water tank in, when I moved in, it needed a hot water tank. I wanted him to put it up. I said, build a platform. I want that thing at least 18 inches off the floor. Oh, no. Because I told them, I said, you can get, they make them shorty tanks. They're big around, but I said, that way you could build a platform with brick. Get some, those flat pavers. Build a platform up off the floor to get that tank up. Because my furnace is 18 inches off the floor. Because it's one of them new, God, the furnace, it looks like a little 2-drawer file cabinet. That's a pain in the ass. If the water starts coming in, I have to run down and unplug the hot water tank. And like I say, it's not even Cleveland water. It's from the suburbs. So that's why when we get storms like this, it's a pain in the ass. You have to keep looking. So if it keeps raining like this all night, I'm going to be up and down, up and down, up and down. And it's been doing this since the 1950s. Because I remember growing up, everybody's basement flooded. So you would think, although 2 years ago we had big signs in the neighborhood, new sewer system coming, and we were all like, oh, it's about time. And then everybody started bitching that, oh, gee, they're going to tear up all the streets. Where are we going to park our cars? And there was so much pushback that the city canceled the project. Oh, it was at the city hall meetings. It was almost like what you would see, in an old Frankenstein movie. People with pitchforks. They were down at City Hall protesting. Where are we going to park our cars? Oh, the neighborhood's going to be all torn up. Well, gee, I wouldn't mind having the neighborhood torn up if they had 8 or 10 foot sewer pipes out here and my basement wouldn't flood anymore. There was so much pushback, the project got canceled. About 2 months after the signs went up, the signs all came down. Well, that's a good thing. Protect the animals. It's sad when you see all the flooding and then you see dead cows floating down the river. But trying to convince the people in this neighborhood that it's not our water. It's coming from the fucking suburbs because they all have these new sewer systems. Well, when they've got 10-foot diameter drain pipes and we've got 6, it's like trying to put 5 pounds, 10 pounds in a 5-pound sack. But you couldn't get people to understand this. All they were like, oh, gee, we're going to have to park our cars down the block, and the neighborhood's going to be all torn up. And there was such pushback that the city canceled the project. They gave the federal money back. And then people bitch because their basement floods. Well, you can't have it both ways. Oh, I can't park my car in my driveway. Well, you can park it up the street. Oh, you mean I have to walk a block to get to my car? That's how stupid they were. My car's going to be 2 blocks from my house? Oh, I can't do that. So when they canceled the project, I just told people, I don't want to hear you bitch when your basement floods. And your dryer gets ruined, and your washer gets ruined, and your hot water tank and your furnace all get ruined. Well, see, you've got a different problem there, Linda. You don't want to get me started in that shit. Like, when I lived up the street, the people that lived next door to me were from Nepal. And they brought them over here because they were oppressed. Now, I didn't know anything that was going on in Nepal. The rent was paid. Their utilities were paid. They had, matter of fact, they had higher end cable than anybody in the neighborhood. Their medical was all free. They were getting free groceries. And they didn't speak English. And the thing that used to get me is Grandma and Grandpa were come over with the family, you know. And, Grandpa dressed in the whole Nepal garb. He would sit out on the front porch and trim his toenails. So, when they didn't like the neighborhood. So they moved out to either Parma or Seven Hills. Well, when they were moving out, I said, boy, their new neighborhood is in for some real culture shock when Grandpa sits out front on the porch in this ritzy neighborhood and trims his toenails. Oh yeah, I'll tell you what, after the water recedes, my basement has got fucking leaves and silt, and I have to wash it down and then get all kinds of disinfectant and disinfect the fucking basement. So every time we get water, I go around to all the neighbors that bitched about the sewer project. And I like, how do you like cleaning the shit out of your basement? How do you like having to throw away your washer, your dryer, your furnace, and your hot water tank, all your kids' toys? Needless to say, they're not too happy with me. Oh yeah, Linda, everything got paid for them. Everything. And they would come from the food bank with just boxes and boxes of food. Everything free. And me, I went down to see if I qualify for SNAP. food stamps. I earned $15 too much a month. So I couldn't get a SNAP card. Meanwhile, the moochers next door to me, they're getting everything paid for. And they had high-end cable so that they could get programs in their language. Because they had, I even asked, there was one, the son spoke some English. And they had this, it looked like something you would find at NASA, this dish on their roof. And I says to him, I said, "What is it? Oh, we get programmed from home." "Oh, how nice. Who's paying that?" "Not them." Must be nice to come to America and get everything for free. So I don't want to get started on illegals. Oh yeah, Kathy, I would have to go down with the pressure washer and pressure wash the walls. And then in the soap tank, I would have to put disinfectant and spray it, and then let it set, and then rinse it down, then soap down the walls. Pain in the ass. Yeah, I couldn't believe it when the son went, "Oh, we get programmed from home." Gee, you're living in America. First of all, learn the language. Second of all, watch American TV. But boy, I would love to see the look on the neighbor's face in that ritzy neighborhood they moved into. Because they moved into a pretty upscale neighborhood. See old grandpa sitting out there in the morning, trimming his toenails. Just about have his foot in his face. Couldn't sit in the backyard, sat in the front yard. With his fucking dipsy doodle hat on and his Chinese looking clothing. And then they grew some of these weird plants in the backyard. And they would put tarps all over the front lawn and dry these things out, dry the leaves out, and then put them in jars. And I don't know what kind of liquid they had, and then let the jars set in the sun. I don't know what the hell they were, but everything had to be done in the front yard. Oh yeah, that was another thing. Their Nepalese music. I remember one day they were having some kind of party, and they were barbecuing, and it was the most horrendous smell. And finally I says to the son, "What are you cooking?" "Goat head." "Want some?" "No, thank you." Yeah, they were barbecuing goat heads. Smelled like they were cremating a body. "Oh, here, we give you eye delicacy." "No, thank you, I'm full. I just had Burger King, thank you." Oh, yeah, they had 8 or 10 fucking goat heads over a bonfire. Mmm, yummy. Oh, yeah, Kathy, you gotta throw everything out, especially with the sewage water. I wouldn't dare try to wash any of that shit. Luckily, I don't put anything down the basement. Everything except my hot water tank is, well, let's see, the furnace is 18 inches off the floor. The washer and dryer are 20 because I measured it. That's why I say the neighbors were in for a real culture shock. Seeing Grandpa sit on the front porch trimming his toenails. And he didn't use clippers. He used a fucking knife. He had a fucking knife about this long here. I was waiting for him to cut his fucking toes off. He'd sit there and sharpen that goddamn knife, and then whack, whack, whack. And when they moved out, the house was just a disaster. It's like where the stove was, the walls were just covered with oil. Oh yeah, the knife that he had was kind of curved. Like a scimitar. Yeah. He'd sharpen it. And then he'd hold his foot and whack, whack, whack. I was waiting to see a toe come my way. I'm like, got it. You want it back? Maybe you can glue it on. But on the front porch. Couldn't sit in the backyard. He'd do it on the front porch. And the son had told me where they were moving. And it was a pretty upscale neighborhood. Probably all that for free, too. Ugh. Come to America, the land of the free, and I mean free rent, free utilities, free food, free medical. Oh, this house has a laundry chute. I love it. I have a I have a chair and a laundry basket. And I just go down and I pull the thing open and everything falls into the laundry basket. I love that. They don't build houses with clothes chutes anymore. Every house in this neighborhood has one. Of course, they were all built in the 40s. So you had milk chutes and you had laundry chutes. I don't use mine too much, but I like it. Now, most of the houses here, people have aluminum sided and they covered up the milk chutes. Mine's a brick house, so I still have mine, which I love it because that's where I get my mail. My packages fit in there real nice. My mail carrier loves using my milk chute because she don't have to walk up the front porch. But yeah, well, back in the day, we had milkmen. We had seal test and Borden's. Seal test and Borden's. Those were the two milkmen we had. And then Lawson's opened up and put the milkmen out of business. Although it's surprising we still have ice cream people. I can almost imagine what it costs to buy a bomb pop off an ice cream truck. Yeah, as a matter of fact, when my next door neighbors had their house resided, they covered the milk chute up. But every house in this neighborhood had one. Every single house. Because they were all built in the early to mid 40s. And that was a standard item. A milk chute, a clothes chute. As a matter of fact, a lot of the houses had coal chutes. Because a lot of the houses had coal furnaces. The house I grew up in had a coal bin because our original furnace was a coal-fired furnace. And then my parents had it converted to gas. But yeah, we used to get a coal delivery once a week. The guy would back up the driveway and he had a little chute. Go down the basement, open the coal chute. He'd shovel that coal down into the coal bin. When the coal bin was full, he left a bill and went on to the next house. Yeah, I remember I was probably, 5, 6 years old when they finally converted the coal furnace to a gas. But yeah, we used to get coal delivery once a week. Tell that to kids nowadays. Oh, we had to shovel coal in our furnace. What? What's coal? Well, you know, charcoal briquettes, it's just bigger. Because there were special garbage cans for the ashes for the coal. So you'd have your garbage, your rubbish, and your coal ashes. Yeah, I remember my father in the middle of winter shoveling coal. Then you had to make sure the goddamn fire didn't go out. Otherwise, the house was really cold in the morning. Then if you had some really cold weather, you might have to get 2 coal deliveries a week. Yeah, I remember in school, the little cartons of seal test. Those were the days. Yeah, you talk about a coal furnace today, and kids think you're, gee, when were you born? Yeah, 1700s? No. Like I say, I think I was 6 when they brought this big gas burner in and they converted our coal furnace to a gas. And then no more coal delivery. But yeah, every house in the neighborhood had coal furnaces. Kids today, the coal furnace, you had to shovel. Yeah. If you didn't shovel, you were cold. Yeah, we had a milkman and a coal man. Penrose Coal. I still remember the name. Penrose Coal. The coal truck would back up the driveway and the guy'd fill the coal bin with coal. Back in the dark ages, when Grumpy would go out in the backyard and play with the dinosaurs. Matter of fact, some of the houses, they still have the coal chutes. Because I remember when the new neighbors moved in up the street, the kids were like, "What's this door?" It's a coal chute. What's a coal chute? For coal. What's coal? Go in and ask your mommy. Gargle it. Coal. You used to heat your house with it. And then the poor coal trucks disappeared. Oh, come on, tablet. Well, I think it's about that time, peoples. Whoop. What the hell happened? What did I push? There we go. Well, everybody, it's been another fun night talking about old times. Milk chutes, cold chutes, clothes chutes. And it's time for me to shoot out of here. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your evening. I'll be checking my basement all night. And we will meet again right here tomorrow night. And with that, have a wonderful rest of your evening. See ya! Take two.